Hello, welcome to How to Draw Celtic Patterns. I'm your host Jason Bellchamber, and today I'd like to show you the steps in drawing a 6th century wolf pattern. That's a Celtic wolf or Pictish wolf. And what I'd like you to do is go to my website, bellchamber.net, and then go to art or follow the link. And I want you to print out this pattern because we're going to draw this wolf. Hold on, I'm gonna focus it out a bit so you can see the pattern. So, the actual site is bellchamber.net/stittenham.jpg. This Stittenham refers to the place where it was found in northeast Scotland. This is classified as a Class 1 style of Pictish design because the outline of the animal is actually graved into the sandstone, and it's not relief where it's more 3D. So this is actually would classify it as likely being earlier, likely about 6th, maybe even 5th, but it's likely the 6th century, which is the 500s. So grab yourself your straight edge ruler and a 0.5 marker. Okay, we're gonna quarter this into sections because it's one of the easiest ways to begin to draw, and then after a while, once you've practiced, you freehand yourself. So we're going to quarter this right now. By drawing from quarters to quarters. So from here, we've marked from all four corners. What I want you to do is start to make it into boxes. Line it up from there, so you're dividing it horizontally, and then draw this. I'm just looking up here to make sure it's nice and straight up and down. Just makes the transition from one page to the next easier when you're constructing your grid. Okay, so instead of filling this with another X, I'm just going to mark here, right? Mark a very small spot there, and make sure it's up and down, straight. There. So we've got 4 cubes there. I'm going to do the same on the other side. I like to put the pen down because it's a little bit thicker than just drawing it straight from the line itself. So I'm looking up here to make sure it's nice and straight. Look down here. Yeah, that's straight, so that's going to be straight up and down. But I want it right at the mark where I've marked it. Great. Okay, so you can see I've marked it into 2 by 4. This is what your template is going to be that you're going to sketch from. We're going to draw one box at a time. If you feel like it, you can actually start marking these into smaller boxes, but it might get a little too small for you if you do that. We're going to start to draw this. So again, bellchamber.net/stittenham.jpg for the Stittenham Pictish Wolf picture, okay? I'm going to put this off camera, and you're going to put it to your right or your left, whatever you prefer. We're going to use our straight edge, and we're going to copy that 2 by 4 grid that we just made. Make it a little bit smaller. Once you practice this might even be really good for putting it onto a card, maybe for Yule or Christmas. Because animals tend to be a nice theme, especially wolves being all wintry, having fur coats and whatnot. The wolf, I think, to a lot of clans around the world, represents the family, because everybody thinks of the alpha male, but in order for it to have a good pack, you actually have an alpha female. And the alpha male is the one you always see, and they're big and strong visually. The alpha female is actually the one that's in charge, because she's in charge of the family. And she's always the one that follows from the back of the pack if you ever see wolves walking around. But it's a balance of responsibilities in order to run a family or a pack. So that's how it was an important symbol. So we've got our 2x4s, right? So we're going to start looking over at, we're going to be transferring this. And we're going to do it by cubes. So I'm using a mechanical pencil to get the first lines. And what I'm going to want you to do is to get probably a hard pencil. I'm just going to use an HB2 in this case. Got a nice fresh pack of them right now. There's one. And just draw it lightly because we're going to go over the pattern with afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to start with this block. You'll notice that I'm just going to go to the edges of where that one goes, and the top of it is actually to there. The ear sort of meets right there, and then you'll see the nose is a little bit lower than this line. This line might be up here, right? And then the jaw is probably about down there. Right, so let's just start by sketching a very light outline, okay? It doesn't have to be the detail that you're looking for, because you're going to get the nuances with the curves afterwards, okay? Notice that has a little bit of a curve here. So we've got the basic shape of the head. I'm going to start by getting that one ear in there. In the beginning of the mask, this is a very typical portion, or the way that the Celtic artists would draw the wolves. So you'll notice the nose is a little cut off. And that's alright, because you can see the tongue in there. This guy just starts about here and comes around to the bottom of the ear there. Okay, let's go to this one. Okay, so I'm gonna start doing the shoulders of our beast. So I'm into the second part. I'll just move it over here so you can see both, and you'll notice that the points where it exits, the back elbow of her, it's there, and about there is the other left elbow, and this follows almost at the top, so give it a little bit of the curvature. It's just that shoulder blade. There's a little more expression in the curves. It's a really beautiful piece of artistic work because of the reality in the curves of it. It's not just a stick. So this one's about there. A little bit thinner. It's okay if we're just scoring where we want the design to go right now, because we're going to ink it and erase it afterwards. Okay, so we're going to get this little curly spot here. So there's the back of the elbow, okay? So I'm going to be getting this part right there. This part goes in tight and then spreads a bit and goes straight, and then stops there and curves. Alright, let's get this square right here, okay? Now, something interesting. When you look down at the toe, it's very clearly defined. You can see the inside short toe and then the outside toe, and even the nails that you can see as well. If you look this up and get a bigger picture on Wikipedia, even the pads underneath and the back pad, and you can see the dew claw right here too, eh? So, let's see. What I suggest is we're going to fill this in after we sketch this claw. So this looks like it's about halfway, so it's just below halfway is where this mark is, and then here is basically going to be about here, right? And we look at the front of this claw too. We know it means about here, this part, and then it spreads up with a nice curve here. And it goes in. Alright, so this is the back claw. And the dew claw. And then when it reaches the front of the metatarsal bones, I think that they probably started with the inside paw and then a bigger, more exaggerated outside paw. Make sure that you've got room for your claws. And then there's the pad, and then a suggestion of the back, right? So, because this was damaged over time and erosion, naturally or when it was discovered, let's copy the way that they did this with the outside. So I'm going to start with this one. So it comes down, and then the bottom paw is on the ground, it turns, and then slopes up, right? Then you've got your big outer paw, where the nail is, then the inner paw, and then you've got a little bit of the back paw inside, okay? That's what we're going to do here. So, we know that this one reaches here. So, we've drawn in the foot. We know it goes into, there we go. So, this cube here is this cube here. So, let's get that foot going. Now, we know that this is almost right here, right? And right at this joint, the back of the dew claw meets. Then it comes down, and we're going to draw the small outer toe. Then we're going to draw the bigger toe. Leave some room there for the nails. And we might draw a little bit of the padding and a little bit of the back toe, okay? So, just wondering if you guys can see this. Now we're going to draw this one. I'm just going to come out a little bit. There we go. Switch sides is more like it. So there's the beginning of our wolf, right? In pencil. We're still penciling it. Now we're going to start doing the last 4 corners, which are here and here. So this one here, right? So I'm leaving half this one so we can see it. So let's mark the spots where it exits. That one's right there. This one is about here. This one is right there, right? That's the back of her elbow on our wolf. So this is the back haunches, and then it goes straight and then starts to go up slightly for the shoulders. We know that this one goes up and then a little bit of the belly and then curves down past the elbow. Back leg here has a pronounced curve like this. This inner Pictish design curves like so. This one here comes out. There we go. Okay, so let's do the back leg here. But before we do that, I'm going to take our marker. I'm using a 0.5 pigment liner, and we're going to draw the back leg where it's come off. So likely you can see the bottom of the toe here. So probably felt like this. We're going to draw our little toe, right? Then the bigger toe, and then a little bit of the nail, bottom pad, just a bit of the back toe. Okay? Same with this one. We're going to have to approximate it. So follow me. Back elbow into here. We're going to round it. Draw our little toe. Then we're going to draw the bigger toe. A little bit of the nail. Bottom. Then back there. Now, the wolf looks like it's walking, but it may be just beginning to hunt. So the tail is going to be lower. It's not going to be up, as if it's running or about to strike. So I think we're just going to draw the tail like that. Okay? Alright, so let's draw that one. So marking on this block here, I'm just watching where it will come down. Now, the other thing I should remember too is that the two left paws should be at about the same level. The two right paws should be at the same level as well. Okay? So let's follow that one. And then the back elbow exaggerates. We don't want it to be lower than this one, or it'll look strange to the eye. Inner toe, right? Bigger toe. A little bit of the pad, just exaggerate the back toe forming back, okay? Now we're going to draw this leg. So this tail comes out right at about the halfway mark is where the tail is, and then the other part of the tail is there. The back of the buttock is about there. You know that this guy comes down, but this swings out, so we're gonna swing back. Now right at the bottom here, these guys are parallel. I'm gonna big toe, or little toe, sorry. Exaggerated big toe, and we're going to go up into the tail, and we've got it curving quite a bit there. Now, let's take a look at it. Do you like the proportions of your drawing? If so, good. So let's take a look and make sure we've got everything that's in the elements of the picture. Like I've got this curly part where the tail is, I've got these two parts here, I've got this, and looking down here I missed this one. So, got that. Let's look at the face, okay? The face is the most important part of many drawings because that's where the expression comes from that people first look. Because people look to faces or heads to communicate messages. And when you're drawing, the most important thing is almost always the eyes. In this case, it's the side profile of the wolf, so it's the symbol of the wolf itself. Because it's damaged here, let's just say that his tongue extrudes there, and then his nose probably goes at an angle like this. And I'll have that sort of curly cue for the nose, for the expression, okay? Might even have just another part like that. You don't want to make it pronounced too much, because then it'll start to look like a pig's snout. We want it to look like a wolf. So now we're going to start to ink it. I want you to get your thinnest pigment liner. Let's make sure my 0.3 works. So I'm going to start doing it with my 0.3 first, then I'm going to erase it, okay? So I'm going to start with the outer lines. Up to the shoulders. I'm going to stop here and put in the ear afterwards. Actually, why don't I start with the eye? There's the eye. And I've got the radius. Just try to draw a circle around the eye. I'm going to come in and draw the mask. Now we look to the nose. And it's a little sharp. Now, keep looking at the drawing for the expression that you like and then follow your lines, okay? Okay, so the tongue. The tongue starts from back here. It just goes a little bit out. It doesn't look like you can see any fangs. The nose, because it's a smaller, I'm just going to do one line like this. The ear. Part it there, another part of the mask starts down here. It's nice to fill in these lines with long swoops rather than stopping and going like we did with the pencils. So every time there's a change in the curve, that's where you can kind of start. So we want to meet up with this line here. So I start to draw up the neck and then to the curve of the face. Then we look to the outer elbow here. And then to there. Let's do that far leg. Right, so bottom outer toe. It's nice and rounded, okay? We're going to start with the claw, and it's just the bottom part of the claw that we're doing. And the outer bigger toe, and then the outer claw. Accent it with the bottom pad, and then the back toe. Okay, let's do this with this one as well, okay? This looks a little fat on mine, so I'd like to make it a little thinner. I'm going to just thin this out a bit. This back, I kind of want it up here, so I'm going to start at this elbow. Have it here. Start with the inner small toe. There's the nail. The bigger middle toes there. Not much room for the pad, but I'm just going to make a little fat line there. And then a little bit of the back toe there, okay? So let's look at, right now I'm looking at the back feet here. I like the position of this one, okay? So I think, should I do that first or the belly? I think I'm going to do the belly. So that reaches in on the inside of the leg, and then the belly has a slight curve to it there. I've made that a little thinner, because usually this part of the muscle is much wider and thicker for strength. So bring this down, draw the bottom, the pad, inner toe, accent it with the nail, bigger middle toe, there's the nail, a little bit of the inner pad, and the back pad there. So let's do the back leg. Just going to start it with the back of the buttocks there. So there's the back elbow. This moves me. I want this leg to be like at the same length here. This one should be the same length as here. That way it looks like it's actually walking. So inner small toe, there's a nail, bigger middle toe, there's the nail, not a lot of room for the pad, a little bit at the back pad right there, okay, and let's curve the tail. Got that loop. Okay, now let's start doing the accents that they've got. I think I'm going to start with this one. Elbow here. Reaches up, gets thinner. This one has pronounced curly Q. So we're going to do that one there. These nice little simple accent lines are a really beautiful way to express the shapes of the animal's three-dimensionality. There you have it. Okay. And in this portion, we're going to erase our lines and start to darken some of the lines and then cross-hatch the background. So, get your eraser. Make sure it's dry. And I'm just going to take away the outer grid portions that we've got here, okay? I'm going to leave the straight lines of our grid because that's acting as our border. Because I'm just going to cross hatch it, so I'm just going to leave the straighter out box. Erase it a little bit, but just leave most of it, okay? Here, see? Now your eraser is going to take a little bit of the lines away, but not much of the detail. Okay, so take your 0.3 and then take a 0.5 pigment liner, okay? So with the 0.3, I'm just going to go over some of the fine detail. Like the ears and the eye. And I'm just going to get the lines that where it looks like we joined lines together. Looking at the feet. Gotta erase a little more. I want a little bit of that white. And the nail. I'm gonna erase that in a minute because I want it to dry. I just drew over it. Okay, I'm liking the rest of this. So I'm gonna take my 0.5, okay? And I'm gonna do one form of cross hatching where you just draw 1, 2, 3, and then you change direction and do 3. And what this does is it just gives a really quick way of drawing the negative space at the back of the design. So I'm drawing away from the lines, which are the outlines. So I'm just doing like 3. You can do 4 if you want. I think 3 is a little easier. And again, what the negative space does, or the darkened background, it just makes the white, lighter portions of our drawing seem to lift off of the page. So again, I'm just turning to slightly different angles and just doing 3 lines away from the outlines of our animal. You don't have to do this. Other ways of adding some negative space to the design is like maybe even just dots. Right. I just don't want my hand to hide the what I'm doing. But if only you were here right now, I could show you. Sadly, the camera acts only one eye. Yeah, so you notice I'm always drawing away from the outlines. That way you don't draw into it. You could introduce an interlace into the design as well, but I think we'll do that in one of the more advanced sections just because we want to get the outlines done first. wish I was left-handed. Okay, so sorry if I'm covering the drawing when I do this. This rather quickly, but just gives a bit of a basket weave look. And there you go. Should we ask a little more? Well, yeah, that's good. Thanks for watching. And that is one way of drawing animals, is by breaking it up into grids so that you can copy it. Please email if you have any questions, and please subscribe. Thank you very much.